Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
No West Side Story after all.
No, we decided instead to dive into the world of survival horror.
Yeah, to lean into our brand, Tom.
Yeah, so this fair warning, this podcast contains explicit scenes of violence and gore.
Mm-hmm. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City.
Welcome to the city. We got zombie dogs.
Why are you back here, Claire? Your conspiracies weren't true when we were kids. They're not true now.
We need to expose Umbrella. Watch this.
I'm afraid, Claire. I'm afraid of what they're gonna do to this town. You see, Umbrella, they had an incident. I'm talking Chernobyl, if you know what I mean. People are getting sick. You gotta help us, Claire. Let the world know what's really going on.
I was thinking more like Jurassic Park, but yeah.
Richard Attenborough just guiding people into Raccoon City.
Yeah. I know we like tweeted that we do West Side Story, and maybe we will at some point.
I think we probably will.
Yeah,
I mean,
this was just shorter.
I was going to say, let's pull back the curtain all the way. Dave looked at the runtime of West Side Story.
Yeah. It was that combined with the possibility that maybe when I go home for the holidays, my mom will want to see it. So it was like, okay, well, that means 6 hours of West Side Story. So this is better. I prefer this.
Sure.
Yeah. This is, of course, the new Resident Evil. It came out a little while ago, and we never got around to it because there's just a lot of stuff going on now.
Yeah, I think it came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay. So it's still relatively new.
Yeah, it was written, directed by the director of 47 Meters Down, a movie I have not seen.
It is not bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because this movie is not bad.
It really isn't, honestly.
I liked this movie.
Dave, so did I.
Yeah.
So did I. It had some problems, obviously, but like I was genuinely very pleasantly surprised by this movie.
Yeah, I mean, let's get one thing clear. This isn't like a good movie.
No. No. This is not a good movie, but it is a fun movie. It's an entertaining movie, particularly if you're a fan of the games.
Yeah.
And it has, I had been texting you both right after I saw it, and then yesterday when we decided that we were going to cover it. There's some like genuinely good shots. There's some genuinely decent direction in this movie, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
This has a low, like critics are not going for it, but audiences obviously are, and that's what you'd expect.
Yeah.
There's some genuinely good editing and camera work in this film for sure. I also think it is in general, conceptually, a better Resident Evil than the other films. And what I mean by I think it fits the tone better. Things like the fact that Raccoon City in this is not a city; it's a smaller town. That fits way better.
You have to like the Resident Evil movies are fine for what they are, for sure. They're gonzo Paul W.S. Anderson movies with Mila Jovovich being cool, and they're fine. This is more like what Resident Evil is. You got to remember, the Resident Evil game series is very heavily based on George Romero zombie movies, so it's more that tone of
right.
It's not like this glitzy action thing. It's a more claustrophobic, like dread, and it's way more horror than action.
Yeah,
although
and
there's goofy over the top action in it, but yeah,
it's a little of both. We'll get into like I think the problems, I guess, with this movie.
Sure,
but overall, I think the look and the feel of it is just way better. So Tom, I never played the first games. I've played very little Resident Evils. Who were all these honkies?
All of these honkies are all characters from the first 2 games. There's a couple of others, like they show a set of twins that come in a little bit later and are kind of important figures in the overall lore. But like, I'm a big fan of the games, especially the original ones, and the remakes that they've done recently have been real cool. And this movie is a lot like somebody kind of giving you a quick summary of the first 2 games, essentially.
Right.
So some characters are combined, some events are condensed, but essentially this movie covers the events of the first 2 games in the series pretty closely, honestly. Much more than I would have expected.
We got Whiskers in here.
Whiskers is in there. Yeah, he's kind of this movie's version of Whiskers.
There's 2 Whiskers, right?
2 Whiskers?
Or is it? Wait. Who's the scientist? What's his name?
The scientist is Dr. Birkin, who is
so not at all the same name.
Played by Neil McDonough.
Yeah, he sure is.
The Whiskers, I guess, in this movie is probably going to be the thing that's like the most controversial, I guess, among like fans of the game, because he's a combination of 2 characters. He is both Wesker, who is a big villain, and a pretty big villain in the whole series, and it's also a combination of this character named Barry Burton, who is also in the games, and he's more of like a sympathetic guy who is like forced to turn on the team, but ends up becoming a good guy at the end.
Yeah, they could combine the 2. I assume he's going to come back.
Oh, there was a mid-credit scene.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he is still alive, and it introduces another character from the games named Ada Wong, who it turns out was the person that hired him to steal the scientist's work in the movie.
Got it. Because it's like a kind of a mystery.
Yeah.
We're going to go through the plot,
We should probably go through the plot, yeah.
All right, this is about a town filled with terrible cops, and only cops, and like a few diner waitresses.
Yeah.
They are the worst cops. I mean, I love them, but like she whips out her gun in the diner and is like, "Don't do that."
Yeah. Yeah. I loved this version of Jill.
Yeah. They're all a bunch of chuckle fucks. It starts with it's like not bookended, but it starts with a child in an umbrella orphanage, which I don't know, made me laugh.
Well, it's a Raccoon City orphanage, but like, yeah. It's Umbrella is secretly doing their shit there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is funny that like a pharmaceutical company would have a partnership with an orphanage. Like that is the biggest red flag. It's like, what are you testing on these kids?
Yeah, what are you doing over there? There should be a law that says like a pharmaceutical company cannot also like run an orphanage,
right? Because
across the board,
because the immediate obvious question is not, are you testing on these kids? It's like, no, what? We know you are. There's no other reason for a fucking pharmaceutical company. Bunch of Nazi doctors giving these kids pills. What the fuck are you doing in there? And we're making zombies, we're making monsters, we're making like weird crows. Yeah. What the hell are you doing?
I mean, we covered a lot of this in our series, Worst Corp Ever.
That's true, we did, yeah.
But this is a dumb way to test pharmaceuticals. This is not how you test zombie viruses.
It's certainly dumb in terms of being secret, because boy is this obvious.
It's obvious, and it's also in the middle of like a town, and it's again like just tested on animals. That's the one thing that happens in the other version, the other film, where they're like underground in this hive, and it's like, yeah, that's what it would be. That makes more sense. This makes less sense, that they're like doing experiments just in a town. And it leaks into the water.
It sure. Well, it doesn't. They put it in the water.
Oh, they put it in the water.
I think, right? Or no? Or does it leak?
It's some Flint, Michigan shit.
Yeah.
Like they sort of imply like that they don't care, or that it's hard to tell.
Oh right, there was a containment breach. That's right.
Right, there's the whole alarm and shit. So it starts with this little girl, it's Claire, who and her brother Chris, and she's got like a little girl zombie friend.
Yeah.
Scary little friend.
Some creepity creep friend lurching around in the orphanage.
Yeah, let me tell you, they do not really pay off, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, again, this isn't a great movie. It's just a lot of fun. Like, like the writing, the structure is like, oof. So that's the beginning. She grows up. She's driving into town. They do not fuck around. Mm-mm. She's with the worst truck driver. Yeah. Just this terrible truck driver.
Yeah. He's a real hero from the games. The horrible truck driver at the beginning of Resident Evil 2 is that fucking character.
He hits somebody.
He sure does.
Yeah, because he's an idiot.
At like 85 miles per hour.
Yeah. He's just a terror. He's his own horror movie.
He's a terrorist.
She wakes up to this guy like screaming at her about Raccoon City and how it sucks. And then he hits somebody and he's like, oh, shit.
We don't have to tell anybody about this, right?
Yeah. It's like, holy shit, dude, what is your life? I feel like becoming a zombie is like a step up. And his puppy dog.
In many ways, his life was only going to end this way.
Yeah, exactly.
It was only going to end with him walking into a police station fully on fire as a reanimated ghoul.
Yeah, well, even not as a reanimated ghoul. It was just his, that's where he was heading in life in general.
I think ghoul was always in the cards, but sure. Yeah.
Well, he's always kind of a ghoul.
Right.
Like, yeah.
He's like he's like a JV ghoul. He's like a farm team ghoul. He got called up to the big leagues. AAA ghoul.
So he hits this girl or woman with his car, and the puppy dog licks up the blood, and so we know where that's going.
Yep.
Puppy dog bites him.
It sure does.
And then it just like it moves. So she shows up to go talk to her brother, coincidentally the same night that all this shit goes down, which is like, yeah, fine.
Sure,
fine.
It's movies, baby.
Yeah. So she shows up. They have a brief fight. He's like been raised by
he stayed in the orphanage and she ran off.
She ran off because, as we learn, they tried to experiment on her, and she wiggled away like a cat, and just ran off
like a cat when you're trying to give it a pill covered in peanut butter.
Exactly. And so like almost immediately after this, well, we meet the other terrible cops. They're at the diner. They're pointing their guns at each other.
Yep.
They have like a new guy who like shot his partner, or like shot during a training exercise during his like academy. He shot his like academy partner or whatever.
Yeah.
And so everybody sucks is the point.
They have this because like the town is dying, like Umbrella's pulled out, yes. So it's like a real dump, and it's a real like skeleton crew of I guess public servants. So like they have all the cops have a very last day of school attitude. Like,
they sure do. Woo! And again, they seem to be the only people living.
Right, like town. The population is like 80, and like 8 of them are cops.
Yeah,
like,
they were at the diner, and I thought they were like, I didn't know they were cops at first, and then a cop comes in, and he's like, hey, did you hear about this rookie, what he did? And then they all get up, and they're like, time to go to the station. I'm like, you're all cops? And then she goes to her brother's house, and he's like, I'm a cop now. I can't do it. And you're just like, you're a cop too?
Yep.
Who isn't a cop? And so at the station, they got their chief, Donald Logue.
Fucking Donald Logue. Hell yes.
Just giving it his all. Talking about Journey. That was like, okay, sure, we got a movie here.
But that was a fun, I really enjoy that scene, though, when he tries to drive through the roadblock while Any Way You Want It is playing.
Yes, it's foreshadowing. Him talking about Journey in this first scene foreshadows a really fun scene.
Yeah. Later.
And so then, like, basically just zombies start happening almost immediately. The alarm goes off. is at her brother's house, right? And the neighbor is clearly a zombie. I really like
clearly zombing out. Yeah.
Yeah, because a little girl comes in, and like, there's a lot of children in this that like are just fine. Like I don't know. This kid, I don't remember what happens to this kid. She runs in, she gets under the table, and I really like the exchange of her going, "You need help?" And the kid going, "You need help." Yeah. And then the zombie immediately busting through.
Flies through the window, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty... I will say, as we're going through it, I think this movie handles its jump scares pretty well.
Yeah, I would say it doesn't even jump scare that much. It leads up.
Yeah.
It's more about tension. Obviously there wasn't a part that scared me, but there was some parts that I was like, that's neat. Yeah. That's a neat... Like, this exchange was really well done with the shot, because you see the background, and as the girl says, like, you need help, you see the zombie, like, running into the door.
Yeah.
And smashing through. They do a lot of, like, fun things with the composition.
Yeah.
There's some stupid things, too, but, like... most of it's in, like, the really sweaty exposition. There's a lot of points, because the characters are split up. There's a lot of points where you have to watch separate groups realize the same thing.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
When they ask what's Spencer Mansion, and the chief gives this like really kind of sweaty exposition there.
Yeah.
When the truck drives into the police station and he just doesn't notice. It's like, come on now. You got a Walkman on. I don't think those headphones are good enough. But it leads to something great.
Yeah, it leads to some good exchanges. But yeah, I would say the film's weakest aspect is the writing and kind of how it's paced a little bit.
It's very oddly paced. It feels rushed.
Because they're trying to get through. Like I said, it's combining the storyline, the entire storylines of the first two games. So it's trying to get to the action without lingering too long on exposition, but it's also trying to line up these two storylines, which do take place concurrently in the games.
That's cool.
So it's trying to juggle a lot of things, and it doesn't quite pull it off, but it does enough that's fun and interesting in the time that it's on screen. That it's I'm willing to let that shit slide.
Yeah, same here. I mean, that's part of it. Is like I don't care. I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like they could have tried to cut some characters or something. Like, I know, yes, they seem to be very concerned about keeping it true to the game, but when you're covering two video games in a movie that's under 2 hours with, very little budget given to them, it probably would have been better for them to simplify it as much as possible. But I do appreciate what they were attempting here.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
It is.
So what's that?
I was just saying it is an entire assed thing.
It really is.
With like weird faces and manacles.
Mm-hmm.
The zombie girl that we will talk about in a second.
Oh, we sure will. So basically we get these two threads. So they found a body up by Spencer Mansion. So a group of cops go up to the mansion to find out. Meanwhile, the evacuation, like the sirens happen, and the chief seems to know what that is.
Yes.
And he immediately is like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah. So he basically just tells like the new guy, like, you're in charge now. Bye. And so basically it's the police station and the people at the mansion.
Yeah.
So the sister eventually gets to the police station, but before that, the cop leaves, and that's when he gets to like a roadblock and he's listening to Journey, and it all stays in the car, and then all this chaos ensues outside. So they have this, he's being shot at, and like he's got to get the fuck out, and it's really well done, I thought.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that it stayed in the car, and that there's a couple of sequences that are composed like this. It's pretty neat. But yeah, the chief tries to escape, and the umbrella soldiers are just shooting people that try to escape. Yeah.
I also liked, like, the opening credits I thought were really solid. Just the font and the music. I also like I like a lot of the slower editing when the truck hits the police station. That's the next thing that happens. Or maybe it happens before. I don't remember.
It's right. It's right before that, I think.
Yeah. The editing and shots there is really well done. Because there's like this back and forth from him in the station sitting there. And again, it's stupid that he can't hear it. And it literally explodes outside.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun sequence of like this back and forth of the truck getting closer and closer. The truck driver is a zombie. It crashes and they have he looks up and the truck driver is just walking into the police station on fire.
Yeah. Fully on fire, like a Pink Floyd album cover.
Yeah.
There's another... I was just going to say there's another sequence like in the mansion where Chris is using his lighter to see.
That was really good too.
It was really good. Yeah.
They really enjoyed, again, it's zombie horror. So it's like, but they did some really fun stuff with the horror aspect. The part later where the little golem is on the ceiling and
the
he
liquor,
looks up.
right, with the lights moving.
Yep, the lights. He looks up and there's a series of fluorescent lights. And in the dark ceiling, you can't see beyond it. And one of them very far away, like swings towards him, and then the next one, and then the next one. And it's like this very like slow progression that was like really well done.
Yeah, it was a cool idea.
It was a cool idea because it takes you a second to be like, oh, there's something up there,
and then he has to turn away to deal with something else. So like, this movie's really good at. Like Dave said, we're such old hands at horror that like it takes a lot to scare the two of us, but like you can definitely like appreciate when something's having fun with tension. So like he has to look away to deal with something else. So you're just, the audience is just left there sitting there with this idea that something is crawling on the ceiling towards it. So it's like, oh man, when he turns back around, it's going to be bad.
It was a really good device for tension. Yeah, because it was very fun. Because you're not sure why the light's swinging at first. At least I wasn't. I thought like, oh, is the hallway shaking or something? Mm-hmm. And then the next one, and then you start seeing the pattern, and you're like, oh, yeah. It was a really smart way to do that. And it doesn't sound. It's not amazing. Like it doesn't sound brilliant, but like the execution of it was really well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're at the police station. The zombies are piling up. The others go to the mansion. The chief shows back up because he can't get out of there.
I love that he just comes back in like, all right, never mind.
Yeah,
we got to get.
I was going to betray you, but yeah. We got
to get the team from the mansion back so we can use their helicopter to get out of here. Is basically what he says. So it's the chief and Leon and Claire at the police station, and then Chris and Whiskers and a couple and Jill at the mansion.
Right. Claire saves him from the dog by beating it with a fire extinguisher.
Hell yeah.
And I thought that was funny.
That whole sequence with Donald Logue in the parking garage with the dog was pretty good.
That's also
too.
well done, yeah.
Like pretty much every sequence in this film that's an encounter with one of the creatures, or a lot of the horror sequences have some really cool ideas that are well executed, which is what made me forgive a lot of the movie's not so great parts.
Same here. So. It's mostly the setups are really well done. Like I'd say like once the creature shows up in any given scene, it just becomes like fine.
Yeah.
But like all the setups are really fun and different, and that's definitely like the strongest point of this movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Meanwhile, wait, is that that's at the police station? They find the exposition guy, right? They're going to the armory. And like they're keeping the exposition like umbrella scientist.
He's a reporter. He's the guy that it's the reason Claire came out there. Like he contacted Claire with some video about like the fucked up shit Umbrella's doing. So that's why she came to town, was to find out what happened with him and what was going on with Umbrella.
And he's in jail apparently with a zombie. I didn't understand that. He just gets bit by a zombie that's in the cell with him, and I was like, huh.
Well, it's everyone in town is turning into a zombie, so it's just him and another guy in lockup, and it's just that guy is completely zombie now.
Yeah. And then, who's its name? Leon?
Leon's the rookie, yeah.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's doing his best, man.
Yeah. So this is where it starts becoming like they face a zombie and they have to shoot it and kill it, and then and they're like, wow, what is that? And then we cut to the mansion and like they do the same thing. And it was like, yeah, you could like intercut these, or you don't have to show it twice. At the mansion, they're finding the like secret passageway, right?
Yeah, the mansion's
the guy reveals he betrayed them too.
Yeah, he reveals that Whiskers says like, look, I got paid a whole bunch of money to go in through this secret door and steal some shit. I gotta do that. And Jill's real pissed at him, and he's like, I'm sorry, it's too much money. I gotta go,
man. I love this money.
It's too much money.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the doctor, we haven't seen in a while because he gets the call before the evacuation. He takes his family to what we then learn is like his underground lair.
Like his lab lair. His supervillain lab lair.
I was like, you have not evacuated yet, man?
He's got to get his research, Dave. Yeah.
So his little girl and his wife are seeing his underground lair where he is dissecting a zombie that's still alive.
There's just a zombie that's been vivisected on a table.
And I think the wife is like, what have you been doing down here? And he's like, God's work. And at that point, I'd be like, so you're a supervillain, huh? Like,
oh, you're a mad scientist. You know, I never put it together. Yeah, but you're like a fucking Cobra villain. Like,
she's like, why do I keep ending up with these mad scientists?
Why do I keep getting married to cartoon supervillains?
Yeah. And the little girl is just rolling with it. That's my favorite thing about the little girl character is my favorite character, because what's about to happen to her is she's going to see both of her parents murdered. And then she's going to shoot a man, right? No, she almost shoots him.
Yeah.
And then she's going to get kidnapped by strangers and watch her father turn into a monster.
Yeah, just the scaliest, spikiest, boogeriest monster is going to erupt from her dad.
I don't know if you paid attention to her character and background shots. She's doing fine for most.
She's just standing there. I think after a while,
at one point,
like once all of these waves of trauma keeps hitting you, if you're like 6 or 7 years old, you just kind of like shut down.
Yeah, she's like, I guess this is life now.
Yeah, I'm gonna tuck this away and experience it later.
Yeah. What's funny is at one point a character says a joke and she giggles in the background to the joke. And I was like, she's having a great time.
Yeah, her new friends.
Yeah, her new kidnapper.
It's like, I'm delighted to hang out with my new friends as she steps over her parents' bodies.
Yeah, she doesn't care at all about her mom.
No,
like it's very. Anyway, so
it's
he's
tremendous.
Down in his lap. Yeah. So yeah, basically all the secret passageways. Oh no, sorry. Boy, so back at the orphanage, because they go to the orphanage because the chief is like, there's a secret passageway there. We get the liquor and the light thing. And you mentioned that he briefly looks at something else. It is her childhood friend, now grown up.
Yeah.
To be like a goblin.
A real intense creature design for this character. Yes. It's Lisa Trevor. She's a character from the games, obviously.
Okay, she looks like a Silent Hill character.
Yeah, it's the story there is she's just this just like an early version of the virus. She's been mutated beyond belief, and she is wearing those faces on her face are her mom and dad's faces.
Sure.
Like she pulled them off of their bodies and put them onto hers.
For her.
And her hands are in manacles. It's kind of similar in the game where she's more like of a tragic figure, and you don't really ever fight her.
Okay.
So it's her. I agree that it as a narrative function, it's maybe less satisfying in this film.
It feels like they just needed to cram her in because she was a character,
right? And that creature design is so cool. Like that's a gnarly monster.
I think of stuff like the Mortal Kombat movie where they're like, well, we got to have all these characters in, or sorry, the Mortal Kombat sequel, and then they like are in it for 2 seconds and then they die or something, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Why even put them in? That's what this is, because she's like, oh, okay, she's the imaginary friend or the scary zombie friend from the beginning. And I at least assumed, like, okay, she's going to play a big role here because they set her up for so long. They spent so much time. She shows up, she gives her the keys to the elevator to the passageway and shows her where the passageway is, and then it's just like, bye. And then she's like, thanks, bye. And that's it.
Yeah. Well, she kills the monster, too.
Oh, yeah, she does.
The liquor monster that shows up and fucking annihilates Donald Logue.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes.
Super murders Donald Logue.
It licks him to death.
And then, the Lisa Trevor monster just hauls off and beats the fucking shit out of that monster.
Right. And
it's like an angry chimpanzee beating that monster.
She does. She just fucking tears it apart.
Beats its ass.
Yeah. And then again, she has a key. I don't know where she got it. She's like, here you go. And they're like, thanks, bye. And I'd at least be like, do you want to come with us?
Do you want to come with? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you seem cool. Are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital? Like, let's get you to the hospital.
Ideally, yeah. It seems like she needs to go to some sort of clinic right away.
Yeah. But she's like, no, I'm gonna stay here and watch the town explode on me. So she just stays, and that's it. That's it for that character.
Yeah, I think it's less that we spend a lot of time setting her up, because we don't really. It's just that she's set up very early. It's like the first thing the film sets up is this character's existence.
Yeah, and I will argue that the one thing that they paid attention to is the main character's arc, because what she's seeing is what she could have been.
What would have happened to her, yeah.
Exactly, because what happens is, and so like she does serve a narrative purpose for the character, but it does feel very rushed, especially since she just hands her a key that she just has, and it's like, all right,
cool.
Sure.
You've been hanging on to this for a minute, or?
Yeah. And then, the fact that she just swoops in, saves them, and then is like, I'm cool, I'm good. It's just like, all right, I guess that's over with. But what happens next is they go down and they find an exposition room with a projector and all these tests, and she realizes, like, this is what they were going to take me down to do, they were going to test me.
Yeah, this was the Paradise City down to which they were going to take me.
Exactly. Where she would have turned into the ghoul who just saved her life. They finally run into the scientist.
I just love that they made Lisa Trevor into this ghoul, and they're like, sweet, let's make another one.
Yeah.
Like, that
was pretty cool.
We've gone over this in the Worst Corp Ever miniseries that you can find wherever you listen to these podcasts. But just Umbrella will never not be fascinating from the standpoint of, like, this is a scientific research company. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you researching?
They're like, how to make monsters.
How to make fucking dope monsters.
Because they keep trying to say, like, oh, they're making weapons. And it's like, are they, though? They're not very good weapons.
Right. You know? They're the worst kind of weapons. They're like, they just keep making more and more complicated biological versions of hand grenades. Because these are the kinds of weapons that you just drop and fucking run.
Right, and it's like, we already have those.
Yeah, we have pretty sophisticated versions of those, too.
As always, this ends with, like, a nuke going off, and it's like, see, that's a better weapon.
Right, we nailed it right there. That's the weapon. Like, I don't know why you guys are trying to reinvent this particular wheel, but we got it.
Yeah, it's right there. It's in your movie. Like, you what are you going to do? Drop this virus down on a city? Again, just drop a nuke.
Yeah, that is a thing, though. Germ warfare, biological warfare, like that. Like, it's this like brass ring that they chase, where it's like, well, what can we do to completely annihilate a population but not knock down any of the buildings?
Right, and then you make super Ebola. You don't make zombie viruses. That just creates more of a problem. Again, there's diseases they could, mutate then, right? Like, in this world where they're making the T virus,
listen,
it just seems very unnecessary.
Listen, I get it. They were trying to make super Ebola.
Yeah.
They injected it into somebody, and they got the tyrant, and they're like, shit, let's see where this takes us.
Yeah, let's go down this path.
Unexpected result. Let's see if it develops into a fruitful opportunity for us.
Turns out, not really, but
Kinda,
they did it anyway.
It depends on how you feel about monsters with sickle hands.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It would be like everything would make sense if you just met like the CEO of Umbrella and they were just a goth. Like they were just like a weird goth and they just thought it was cool.
I think that's pretty much what it ends up being.
Oh, okay. Well, then all is explained.
My knowledge of the lore gets a little muddy after the first couple of games, but I'm pretty sure like the reveal is that like Spencer or whoever who started Umbrella is just this goth ass dude who lives in a castle and shit. So
Right.
like,
And they also need to be like a vampire or just a maniac. Like it needs to be like Mel Gibson in that South Park episode.
yeah, Kabla!
Yeah. It just needs to be like someone where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that
totally
all makes sense.
sense.
Sam.
Yeah. I see why this person bought an orphanage. Like,
Yeah, this person just had a lot of money and they were a maniac.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Daffy Duck living in a castle
Yeah.
with wads of pharmaceutical cash.
So they kill. So we get to the part where the girl's parents are killed in front of her. The doctor, the mad scientist, injects himself with the G virus, I believe, because he doesn't want to die. But like this, I don't know, seems worse than death. What happens? He mutates into this like Resident Evil character.
Yeah.
He's
One
got
might
eye
say.
arms. Yeah, I love the eye arms.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's talking like the Joker. Like suddenly he's like I never loved you. Like he's like an asshole. Which is fun. And so he like attacks the brother, who then they shoot him, and then he's like, please, I always loved you. And it's like, dude, you just tried to kill him.
Yeah, you just gave me your Bond villain monologue.
Yeah,
Bye.
it's all over. So they shoot him in the face.
It only makes him stronger, though, Dave.
It only makes him stronger. And now we learn that there's a train under the city that they can get out.
Yeah.
And like, okay.
Yep.
I mean, I assume that's in the game.
Yeah.
I love to look at the train. Like the train is silly, but I love it. I love how it looks.
Yeah, it's an escape train. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I love the idea of an escape train, because the thing about an escape train is it's a bad way to escape, as we learn. Because when the bomb goes off, it just hits the train too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know, get a helicopter or something. Like I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I think the idea is to surreptitiously escape. Like
that's true,
because they're doing a lot of top secret shit in that
right,
lab that is like in violation of, I don't know, every law. So like,
you're right.
If they drop a fucking vial in there, they gotta be, we gotta get out of here and not make it look like we gotta get out of here.
Right. And that train, you can also bring a bunch of shit. Like, I think it's designed so they can put all their ghouls on it.
Yeah, all their ghouls, other machinery and anything that, all the lab equipment and shit like that. Yeah.
That makes sense. And so they're riding that train with the little girl who's fine.
Dave, she gets to go on a train with her fun new friends.
That's true.
It's a
She's
fun
gonna have a great life.
day for her.
Yeah, it is. Her dad rips open the top.
He sure does.
The train. And then he's even more ghoulish. And they're shooting at him, and it doesn't really do anything. And Leon takes out a bazooka.
He sure does.
In a small train car.
He sure does.
Fires it at almost point blank. And the he blows up, the villain. Everybody else is fine.
It's fine.
They don't even have hearing issues.
Listen, if he hadn't have pulled that trigger, Dave, they would have had a lot more than hearing issues.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's so funny, though. How
it is tremendous. Yeah. He's just, sure.
Like, we're talking about, like, a train car. You know what the size of a train car is?
Yeah. It's maybe, it's maybe 100 feet long.
Yeah, not even, like, a really long one, like not like a passenger train car. We're talking about like the kind that like people riding the rails would be in, you know?
Yeah,
where it's
it's
the
more
size of the back of a truck,
right?
like
so
a
it's,
semi.
So it really is more like 30 feet long.
Yeah.
So.
And this monster isn't even at the very end of the car.
Nah, he's working
like
his way up.
in the middle.
Yeah. And
And
Leon goes like, I got this.
Yeah, and he fired. It would have been so amazing if they all died.
Yeah, they all just die.
He fires this fucking rocket. And and they have like one shot of them all kind of jumping with an explosion behind them. And then they get up and one character says something to the other, like some cool line, and the other one replies, instead of saying, "What? My ears are bleeding." Like they are just fine. It would have been funny if they were at least like everybody was just laying on the ground for 10 minutes afterwards or something.
Just breathing heavily.
Yeah. Maybe only one of them makes it out alive just from that. And they're like burnt.
Yeah.
Like really heavily burnt. But no, they're all fine.
Sure.
And then we get the best shot of the entire film, which is when the nuke goes off. And there's a shot of a meadow with a single cow just having a great day.
Cow!
This cow just minding its own business, not hurting anybody, just being a cow.
Not even a zombie cow yet. The virus hasn't reached it yet.
The nuke goes off, cow doesn't even notice. It doesn't even look.
Oh, it notices eventually.
Yes, it just sits there with its cow ass to the nuke until it gets hit by the shockwave, and then it is no longer a cow.
it gets twisted right the hell out of this movie.
Yeah.
In the cow's defense, in the film's defense, cows tend to not notice much.
Yeah.
Unless it's like directly affecting them.
Yeah, and then it does.
It's one of their greatest strengths, I would argue.
It's true. It's true. So the town is nuked. We get like that on screen, like text about the condition of the city. And then they say like survivors 0, and then they all walk out of the
train tunnel.
And the credits go.
They sure do, man.
And it is a delight.
It was. I really enjoyed this movie.
I really did too. As people can tell, we enjoyed it because it's silly.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And it's that right kind of combination where I think it knows it's being funny, but it doesn't wink at the camera.
Right.
Because it's just a really like, we're just going to.
Yeah.
Like that cow shot, there's no way they didn't know that was funny.
Oh,
you know?
Of course. And there's they have fun with making the references that they want to make to the games. Mm-hmm. If you're a fan and you're looking for that stuff. And they do a little bit, like I think the closest they get to like winking at the camera is after Leon blows that thing up. And then one of the characters says, fuck, a rocket launcher? He's like, yeah, it was just in here. Like, I don't know. I just found a rocket launcher up front. Yeah.
Yeah, he said it was in first class or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's that combination of it's having fun, and it knows it's having fun, and it wants you to know that as well. But it's also it's clever in its staging of its horror sequences and the way it treats its monsters. Mm-hmm. So it's not just.
It's trying.
Yeah, and it kind of. I don't know if it necessarily knows it needs to make up for weak spots in the script, but it definitely does with its execution. So it's one of those movies where it's. You would never call it good, but it's like one of those enjoyable kind of B movies that you put on.
Yeah, I don't think they were out to make a movie that people would call good. Like that's the thing, is that it's like I look at the low critic reviews of this, and it's like, well, I get it, because yes, technically it's not a good movie, but it's not. That's not what they were out to make.
Mm-mm.
And so it just feels unfair, you know? That it's like, no, they were making like a bad schlocky movie that we can laugh at and also enjoy while we're watching.
Enjoy on its own terms and for its own merit is the thing.
Yeah. And I do think it accomplished that completely. Mm-hmm. I think it showed some skill, but I don't think these filmmakers are amazing or anything, but they showed some skill with their lead up to tension.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like, there's like a handful of sequences or moments that's like, ooh, that's really good. And then the rest is just very dumb because they're trying to keep it like the video game, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's honestly the same with the other films where it's like the video games are silly because they're video games, you know?
Yeah.
Or they're video games in a time where we weren't making The Last of Us, you know? Where video games were always silly.
Yeah.
Or at least somewhat silly.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, you're gonna make kind of a schlocky film from it because the alternative is to just take the name Resident Evil, take a couple of small details, and then try to make like a grounded horror movie. And it's just like, well, what would be the point of that?
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Yeah, it's at that point, just make a horror movie and call it something else, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It does exactly what I needed it to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. It's not just a movie that you watch and enjoy because it's bad. It's a movie that you watch and enjoy because it's like, it's doing some stuff well and it's engaging with you. Like you can enjoy the movie on its own merit, like I said, rather than something like, I don't know, fucking Anaconda, where you watch it and laugh at it because it is so delightfully bad.
Yeah, exactly. I would say it's hard because sometimes it's a very hard line to walk because if a movie tries too hard and fails, then it becomes just like boring.
Yes.
And so you have your Anacondas, you have your original Resident Evil. I would say that movie is actually kind of right around. It doesn't do anything skillfully like filmmaking wise, but it's definitely like it floats kind of between like, you know, this area. But like you either make a movie that's so bad that it's fun to watch because of how bafflingly bad it is, or you make something that's fun and stupid and everybody kind of knows it's stupid. And in this case, the fun came from, I would say, not so much the characters or any of the actors as much as like those setups.
Yeah.
There were just these genuine moments where I was just like, ooh, that was cool. What a cool little idea. Yeah, so I don't know. I never got bored. I never like laughed so hard at it being bad because it does feel like well made. It's just very stupid. Yeah. Because of course it is.
Yeah, but it's the right kind of stupid.
Yeah, I think it's the right kind of stupid.
Fine line to walk.
Yeah, I think if people were expecting, like, it's not a big movie.
No,
you know, they don't have
small.
much of a CGI budget.
Yeah.
So that I guess is technically disappointing, but I didn't mind.
Yeah, the CGI monsters don't look great.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like TV CGI, but it doesn't ruin the movie or anything.
No. I would say the movie's biggest fault that I personally think is a problem is that because they had to cover so much, they don't get to spend that much time with any one concept.
Yeah.
So like that liquor, it's just there for a second. You know, the main bad guy, is just there for a second. Like they shoot at him a couple times, he picks some people up, throws them, and then he's handled, you know?
Yeah. He gets a rocket right in his puss, right in his kisser.
Right in his kisser. Yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'm all set. I think we covered it.
I think we did too. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Sorry this wasn't West Side Story. I'm guessing West Side Story did not have a bazooka in it.
I don't know, man. We'll see what kind of how Spielberg plays with the original and updates it.
That's true. So we have a Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you go on there, you spend $5 a month, you get exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. Those are all available for you there, so check that out. We also watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. I think we're going to do next week, and then we're done for the holidays until the new year.
Yeah.
But those are fun. Every Friday night. Check it out.
Yeah. We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, stickers, mugs, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Yeah.
Check that out, you face-wearing orphan ghouls.
Yeah, that's how we think of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all of you to us.
Yeah. Keep the lesson of the world's most terrible truck driver in your heart.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what a hero.
What fucking guy is the king. What a desperate life he led.
What a wonderful rock bottom.